and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be making a super easy and super moist lemon loaf cake that's cheaper and better than Starbucks. So let's begin. So the first thing you're going to do is cream together your butter and your sugar. So I'm actually not going to be using butter today. I'm going to be using margarine. So I'm going to be using Stork, and I just think this provides a really nice fluffy cake. I really like using margarine in my cakes, but if you don't have it, or if you want to use butter, then that's absolutely fine. You can use salted or unsalted butter. It's totally up to you. So I'm gonna scoop that into my bowl. And this needs to be softened to room temperature. Then I'm gonna add caster sugar. Granulated sugar or just plain white sugar is absolutely fine as well. Caster sugar is just slightly finer, which means it mixes more easily. Mixes more easily. You know what I was trying to say. Can we also just appreciate that I'm very on theme today with lemon? I have yellow lemon nails and I put on my yellow dress for the occasion of making today's lemon cake. So grab your electric mixer or a stand mixer. I do prefer using an electric mixer for this, but you can do it by hand. Just make sure that your butter is nice and soft, otherwise it's gonna be very difficult. And we're just gonna cream these together. Okay, that looks perfect. So what you're looking for is just a really nice, creamy, fluffy texture and no lumps of butter or margarine left. So let's move on to the next step. Next, we're gonna add in our self-raising flour, our eggs, and our lemon zest. So if you don't have self-raising flour, because I know some countries don't, you can always use plain flour and 2 teaspoons of baking powder as well. Pop that in. Now you're gonna add in your eggs. So these need to be at room temperature. Should I try and do a one-handed crack? Oh my gosh, I've already got shell on me. Checking if I got shell in it. I think we're safe. Also, don't forget that all the measurements will be in the description below, but to make it super easy, it's equal amounts butter or margarine to sugar to flour to eggs. I haven't weighed out my eggs today. I'm just using 4 large eggs because I know that this works really well, but you can measure out your eggs to be the same weight too. So now we're gonna zest our lemon. So I'm using like a citrus grater here, and you just place it over the top. You can just use the cheese grater as well. Use the fine setting. Use the fine grater on it. And then you're just gonna go obviously against the grater. And you want to get the yellow part of the skin, not the white bit, because the white bit is bitter. So just constantly turning that over. Okay, amazing. So that's looking nice and white now. And then just give that a good tap on the bowl. And then make sure you go on the safe side. You can always just scrape the rest of the lemon zest into your bowl. Okay, now grab your electric mixer again, and we're just gonna whisk these until they're combined. So I'm just speeding this up as we go until there's no lumps of flour or egg or anything like that left in there. And remember not to overmix because we don't want a dense cake, we want a nice light fluffy one. Okay, that looks good to me. So I'm just gonna grab a rubber spatula and I'm just gonna make sure there's no little lumps of flour left and just scrape the inside of the bowl. Okay, amazing. So let's grab our tin. So this is the tin we're gonna be using, and I'm gonna measure it for you because I always forget the measurements of this tin for some reason. So please excuse my slightly janky tape measure. The top across is 5 inches by 9 inches by, the depth is about 4.5 inches. The base measurements are 4 inches by about 7 inches. So that's the tin I'm gonna be using. Remember, if you use a tin that is a slightly different width or a slightly different shape or size, then it is gonna cook slightly differently. This is gonna be quite a tall, like thinner loaf cake, so it's gonna need slightly more time in the oven than if you use one with a slightly bigger base. So just bear that in mind. So I always use this Baco foil non-stick baking paper because it's really nice and thick and it holds its shape. I was about to say it holds my shape. Definitely doesn't, it holds its shape. So pull that out across, And you want to make sure that you pour enough over that when you push it down into the tin, you've got a little bit of overhang. So you're better off having slightly too much than slightly too little. And then place that underneath your tin. Lay it out flat and then just place it in the middle. So I'm just going to trim the slightly wonky side just because it was really throwing me off. And then you're going to cut in from each corner to the base of your tin. So that's one. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just going to turn it around to make it easier for myself. And then cut in from the other side. Okay, now remove your tin, just set that to the side, and you're just gonna fold the edges in, and this is gonna be the creases for your base. And this just helps the baking paper to sit really snugly inside the tin. You can get loaf tin liners for the size of your loaf tin, so that's an alternative. And then I'm just gonna fold the edges in as well, so pretend there's a straight line going all the way up. Like that. Same with this one. Perfect, so it should look like this. So I'm just gonna set that to the side and bring our tin back in. And I'm also gonna grease it. So grab some butter or some margarine. This is optional, by the way, you don't have to do this. It just helps the baking paper stick to it so it's less likely to move around. So you're literally just gonna grease the inside of the tin just with a light coating of butter. Now grab your piece of baking paper and you're just gonna push it in and all the edges are gonna fold in. Make sure that base is sitting nice and flat. And then once all the edges are uncurled, then you're just gonna push down over your tin. So just pinch and wrap those edges so you get a nice snug fit. And that is it. We're ready to put in our mixture. So grab your cake mixture and you're literally just gonna dollop it or scoop it into your lime tin. Just making sure you've got every last bit of cake batter, and then you're just gonna smooth it out. Amazing, and you can even give it a little shake as well, just to make sure it's nice and flat. Okay, so this is now ready to bake. So I'm gonna bake it in my oven at 160 degrees C. I have a fan oven. If you don't have a fan oven, you'll bake at 180 C. I'll put Fahrenheit on the screen because I don't know conversions. And you're gonna bake it for about 45 to 50 minutes. It may need less, it may need more, depending on your oven and the shape of your tin. But you can check it with a toothpick to make sure it comes out with just a few moist crumbs on. That's when you know it's ready. So, we shall be back. So whilst my cake is in the oven, it's just got a few minutes to go. I'm gonna make the lemon syrup, which we're gonna pour over the top, which is gonna make it super moist whilst it's still warm. So you need 1 large lemon or 2 small lemons or the equivalent. I'll put the equivalent down below, which will be tablespoons. You can also use lemon juice from concentrate. Fresh lemons do give a slightly better taste, and because we've zested it, it makes sense just to use the juice from the same lemon. And icing sugar or powdered sugar. So to get the most juice out of your lemon, you're actually just gonna roll it on the table quite firmly, and that's just gonna help break it up and let all the juices become free-flowing. You get it, right? Okay, amazing. So that's nice and squishy now. Grab your knife and cut it in half. Okay, this is looking juicy. I'm gonna squeeze mine into a jug, and I'd always recommend squeezing your lemon in first, because if you get any pips in it or anything that you don't want in there, you can just sieve it out or hook it out before you put your icing sugar in. So a nice big squeeze. My nails literally match this like perfectly. I'm actually getting my nails redone today, and I almost don't know what to go for because I like the yellow so much, but it doesn't really feel appropriate for the season anymore. I'm thinking like pink with cherries or something, even though that's not very autumnal. And then you're gonna add in your icing sugar. So just pour that in, grab a spoon, and you're just gonna mix it together until there's no lumps left. So this should be a really nice runny syrup because it needs to seep into our cake. So if you think your mixture is too thick, then you can always add more lemon juice. So let's go get our cake out of the oven and then we'll pour this over the top. Okay guys, so our cake is fresh out the oven. Let's do a little test with the skewer to make sure that it's fully baked. So you just insert it right into the deepest part. And then when you pull it out, it should just have some nice moist crumbs on it. So that is perfect. That's how we know it's not gonna be dry, but it's also baked. If your cake sinks, it's not baked enough. Mine actually took about 5 minutes longer than my original plan. So it took about 55 minutes instead. But you can take it out, test it, and then put it back in for an extra few minutes to make sure that it's fully baked. So now, I need this again, we're actually just gonna poke holes in the top of the cake before we pour over our lemon syrup, and that's just gonna help the syrup seep right into the cake. So just little holes about 3/4 of the way down. And as you can see, like the middle especially has sort of already got this nice deep crack in it. So the lemon juice is gonna seep really nicely down through that. But just into these areas where the crust is a bit thicker, we're just gonna help it seep down into those parts of the cakes as well. Okay, perfect. So grab your lemon syrup, just give it a little stir. This is also why I pour it into a jug and not a bowl, because it just makes it a little bit more accurate when you're pouring. So just pour that over the top. And you want a nice even layer so it covers the entire top of the cake. This also makes the edges of the cake like super moist. Oh, it's so good. Lemon cake is actually one of those cakes where the edges are one of the best bits. Okay, perfect. So now I'm gonna set that aside to cool. I'm actually gonna leave it in its tin because I want all that moisture to absorb into the cake. So I'm gonna leave that to cool and then we'll be back to do the icing. Our cake is now fully cooled, so we're gonna make the icing to go on top. So let me just move that to the side. So you need icing sugar, lemon juice. We're only using a tablespoon of lemon juice, so I'm just gonna use it out of a bottle for this, or you can squeeze another lemon, it's totally up to you. And milk. You can use any milk, so you can even use like a plant-based milk if you want, like anything that you have in the fridge, full fat, low fat, totally up to you. So we're gonna add a tablespoon of milk to our icing sugar and a tablespoon of lemon juice as well. Go. Grab a spoon to mix with and you're just gonna mix these together. So you're looking for a really nice thick consistency with this icing because you don't just want it to run off of your cake, you want it to sit on top. So if you need to add more icing sugar or more milk or lemon juice, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so that is the kind of consistency you're looking for and there should be no lumps of icing sugar left. So let's bring back our cake and we're gonna pour it over the top. The icing is my favorite part. Okay, so I'm just gonna pour that over the cake and you're just gonna try and coat it in an even layer. I'm trying not to put it too close to the edge just yet because I don't want it to just start dripping down too fast, but we will spread it out a little bit. I'm just gonna start smoothing that across the top just so we can fully coat it. Let the drips do their thing. So just be gentle when you're spreading it out because you don't want to disturb the cake underneath. That looks great. So I'm gonna let that set. I actually have my nail appointment now. So I'm gonna run to my nail appointment and then we'll be back to slice it and for a taste test. We're back. I have new nails. I went for bright pink with little cherries on the thumbs. So our cake is fully set. What great timing. So let's cut it up. I'm excited to see the inside. Okay, so I'm gonna use a serrated knife because I find that easiest to cut with, and I'm just gonna saw off this front section. That looks so good. Okay, I'm excited for this. I'm gonna cut another piece, I think, because I do like the end piece, but I wanna get into it a little bit more. It's time. I've been waiting all day for this. Let's do the taste test. Oh my gosh, it looks so moist. I'm literally just gonna bite straight in the middle of it. It's like really fluffy and spongy, but also so moist, and the icing is the best bit in my opinion. Like the icing and the edges with that lemon syrup and the lemon icing is just so good. Is it better than Starbucks? You guys tell me. I personally think it is. So that is the end of today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments section what you'd like me to make next, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.